I'm Alison Poppy.
And I'm Kelly O'Clair. If you listen to our other show, Out of the Fridge, you know that Alison and I love horror. We love to talk about horror comics, and we also love everything else horror. So this is our new show, Twice Bitten.
On this show, we'll talk about everything from movies, TV shows, comics, and even some urban legends. Really anything that goes bump in the night and sends a shiver down your spine. On this very first episode, it will be coming out on October 13th, 2017, which is a Friday the 13th, so we decided to talk about the first Friday the 13th movie, because it just made sense.
So just like with our other show, we will be talking about spoilers for the film. So spoiler alert for a 40-year-old film.
If you want to leave this video now, go watch the movie and come back. We'll be here when you get back.
After the success of the Halloween film that came out in 1978, some other studios were looking to cash in. There were several films that followed that were slasher films based around holidays.
My Bloody Valentine.
My Bloody Valentine. So Friday the 13th isn't an exception to that.
Yeah, they picked the title because of Halloween being on a holiday, which Friday the 13th is a superstitious kind of day. Yeah. And the original title was called A Long Night at Camp Blood.
Yeah. They also looked at Halloween as a formula for a horror movie. At least a new age sort of horror movie at the time. So they had certain rules that they took from that movie.
There are certain rules!
The rules included create a prior evil, put a bunch of horny teenagers together, remove any help from adults, and kill them off one by one. And the formula seemed to work.
Sean S. Cunningham, the producer and director of the movie, worked with Wes Craven on the original Last House on the Left movie and wanted to keep up with the horror theme. He wanted to try slashers because of Halloween. He started to promote the Friday the 13th movie before there was a finished script, which the movie is written by Vincent Miller, with a budget of $550,000, which to me seems like a lot of money, but I know in the movie world isn't that much. The original Friday the 13th movie was a success in the box office and was actually #1 opening weekend.
Mm-hmm. So as we mentioned before, the movie takes a lot of cues from previous films. The movie actually opens in a very similar way to Halloween, in that you don't see the killer, you actually see from the killer's point of view.
We weren't doing anything, we were just messing around.
To their camp counselors.
Yes. So the movie is about a camp that is sort of like cursed in a way.
Yes.
At least according to the locals, because things keep happening.
And all the locals call it Camp Blood.
So one of the reasons we picked this film is because it's a favorite of Alison.
Yay.
I am newer to the franchise, weirdly enough, as a horror fan. It just wasn't one that I picked up when I was younger. So I actually hadn't seen this movie until a year ago. So 2016, I watched Friday the 13th for the first time. But it's very, very cool to see a movie, like, where the tropes come from, even though I had seen Halloween several times, but it's sort of cool to watch the progression of the tropes and how things get built on and that sort of thing. But the movie opens, like I said, very similar to Halloween, where you see a murder, and then it jumps ahead several years. So I believe the murder that we watch happened in like the 50s.
Yeah.
And then it jumps to 1980. And in that we meet a girl, I think her name is Annie.
Yeah.
Who is hitchhiking to Camp Crystal Lake to be a camp counselor. Who she was going to be the cook.
Yeah, she was going to run the cafeteria area, and she is hitchhiking there because a bunch of the counselors are showing up 2 weeks early to help renovate and fix up and all that. and which I think was going to be a vacation before they actually started camp, but they get put to work right away fixing docks and gutters and all that.
Yeah. So we follow her for a little while as the locals are saying, you don't want to go up there, go home now. They take her so far and then drop her off to hike or hitchhike the rest of the way. Unfortunately for Annie, she never makes it there. She's picked up by a mysterious Jeep. We never see who's driving it. We then see, again, from the killer's point of view, and Annie doesn't make it to Camp Crystal Lake.
No. She makes it out of the Jeep, which was very impressive, but she runs into the woods.
Almost did it.
Yeah.
She didn't.
Mm-mm.
Rest in peace, Annie.
I was really sad, too. Like, I'm
she
always
seems like
sad.
a sweetie, too.
Yeah.
It's very sad, because it was like, oh, this sweet little one, but no, she didn't make it.
Yeah, and then I watched that, and I'm like, that's why we don't hitchhike.
Yeah,
Right.
don't hitchhike, kids. So then we meet sort of the rest of the counselors who are, varying degrees of whatever. Some of them, one of the guys, I was like, I can't wait for this guy to die.
And then there's Kevin Bacon.
And then Kevin Bacon's there, being Kevin Bacon. There's a very nice girl named Alice. She's will be our final girl.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. And then there's the man who owns the camp now, whose name I don't remember. But I'm very bad at names.
I think it's Bill.
I think it's Bill, too.
I think it's Bill. Which, fun fact, if he is Bill, whoever plays Bill is the son of Bing Crosby. Just fun fact.
Fun fact. And they are, they're just running around doing camper stuff, teenager stuff in the woods. There's, and that's when we sort of start to see the shots from the killer's point of view cut in, where someone will be looking at them through the trees, and you hear the iconic noise. There's at least one scene that I was like, that guy's gonna get murdered because of what he just did. And one of them pretends to drown, which later when you find out what's going on, that's a big thing. Yeah. So I was like, well, he's gonna die. I mean, the killer's intending them all to die anyway, so, but I was like, he's going first.
And that noise, like, everyone's heard it. I feel like everyone's heard it, no matter if you've seen the movie or not.
Very true.
I've heard different things of, like, chop, chop, kill, kill, like the whispering. But I found something that said that it's actually the composer saying, kill her, mommy, kill her. And it's just like...
And did a ton of
reverb,
whatever.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. That's so cool.
Yeah. So, the movie, I feel like, for a slasher film, moves sort of slow. In that you're like, wow, we're kind of just watching them do shit in the woods for a little while, and then people start dying, and you're like, oh. And then there's even, like, a little bit of space between some of the kills, where, like, they're just kind of like, oh, I wonder where so-and-so went.
Well, like, there's one guy who gets murdered, and then his body is just shoved somewhere. And then you don't see him for a while.
They don't notice.
And then two of the people are having sex, and the girl's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Yeah, and then she didn't come back.
Well, and then the guy doesn't make it either.
Yeah.
But they, like, get killed at different times.
Rest in peace, Kevin Bacon's character. That's a good kill.
It was a really good kill.
But so eventually everyone sort of slowly gets picked off except for Alice. And then she begins to find their bodies, which is pretty horrific for her. And she runs out to try to escape, and a Jeep pulls up. And at first you're like, oh, a Jeep, because the owner of the camp had a Jeep. But
yeah, and he left to run, like, errands or something like that.
Yeah, and so at one point you might be like, oh, help is here.
Yeah.
And this nice older woman comes out of the Jeep.
She's in, like, a nice blue sweater and a turtleneck, so she looks very motherly and nice.
Yeah, and if, you don't know any better, you'd be like, she is here to help her. Though had I not known anything, I might have been like, oh no, this poor old lady's gonna get killed too.
Yeah.
No. Mm-mm. The old lady's the killer.
Yep. And something cool about that reveal too is once Alice realizes it too, she's like running around and like the owner's body falls out of a tree. Like there's bodies just coming out of nowhere.
Well, I think right before the reveal, the body of her friend gets thrown through the window.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Like right before.
Yeah,
because
she's stuck in the cabin where they're playing Monopoly,
Yeah.
and she's being like terrorized. Like she can't
Mhm.
pinpoint where the murder is, and it's dark outside, and there's no power, of course.
Yeah.
And then she just goes for it and runs outside because she sees the Jeep.
Yeah, and that's not. But some of my favorite stuff in this movie is the end of the movie, probably about the last half hour, where things really ramp up because the kills are like really crazy, but not like too crazy.
Yeah.
And then the reveal of Pamela Voorhees as the killer. And then she's got to get away from her and defeat her, and it's just all that really good slasher stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good.
The important part about the story, too, is Pamela Voorhees was the lunch lady, cafeteria lady at the camp in the 50s. And her son, he attended the camp, and because of the counselors not paying attention, doing whatever camp counselors do back then.
According to Pamela Voorhees, they were out making love.
Her son drowned in that lake. So every time someone comes along, whether it's like the same family or someone else, trying to reopen Camp Crystal Lake, aka Camp Blood, she does different things to stop the camp from opening. Like, I think she mentions that she poisoned.
She poisoned the water. She burned some of it down.
Yeah.
We know that she killed at least two of the counselors at one time because of the beginning of the movie. So yeah, she was not having it.
No,
it's not happening.
She's dedicated to make sure that camp stays closed.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things about this film is that it's reverse psycho.
Mm-hmm.
She is very clearly like obsessed with her deceased son and seeking revenge for him, but she even talks to herself in this small voice and says, "Kill her, mommy, kill her,
kill her, mommy."
Yeah, and it's like right when she starts to chase Alice too, so it's like the ramp up right before like the chaos starts. And unfortunately, the actress who played Pamela Voorhees, she passed away a few years ago. But on the DVD box set that I own, I'm sure you can find the interviews online and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She seems like a delight, and I
She
want to
seems
be
awesome.
her when I grow up. She originally did not want to be in the movie, and I've read and heard various things of like what convinced her. But I feel like without talking to her, it has to be that she started to feel for Pamela. Because I know she didn't like the script. Like, she even says it in the little conventions that they go to that she thought the script was trash. And while the writer was sitting right next to her, too. Which I was like, oh.
She definitely had her own opinions.
Yeah.
And she clearly wanted to be taken seriously as an actress, and I definitely understand that. But I think you're absolutely right that she sort of understood the character and was like, you know what, I'm going to give that my all. And she did. Well, she really did. I think it's very cool.
I couldn't imagine being a parent and losing your child.
Yeah.
For something so ridiculous as that.
As like they should have been watching him.
Yeah, that was their job.
Yeah. And so that definitely makes her at least a little bit of a sympathetic character where you're like, well, of course she's upset. She lost her kid. But then you're like, wow, she killed a lot of people.
A lot.
Over the years.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Like, that little old lady took down these young, fit teenagers.
They didn't see it coming.
Yeah. They really didn't.
Especially if they're Kevin Bacon. They literally didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Watch that death. It's real good. Well, and the movie is so interesting because I've watched the whole franchise multiple times, and I know, like, you haven't, but you've at least seen the 2009 movie, and you've seen Freddy vs. Jason. And they're ridiculous. They are fun. Like, I hold these types of slasher movies dear to my heart, but there's something about this movie that is so different and being a serious film, like the first Halloween, too.
Yeah, and what's also sort of cool is that even though they did take things from other films and use them in different ways, they definitely created like a legend within that, where it does feel like, you know, the campfire story. Be like, oh, you know, once upon a time at this camp, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, even though I've compared Pamela Voorhees to Psycho, she's like not though. It's like different because she's also not Michael Myers, right? Michael Myers is just Michael Myers, right? He doesn't have like a backstory like per se. It's like he kills people, the end.
Yeah.
Whereas Pamela Voorhees is like she kills people because she misses her son. You know.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm really into Pamela Voorhees as a character. I sort of fell in love with her. I didn't know I was gonna like her that much when we set off on this journey. Allison obviously is really into this franchise. These are all her things.
I have more at home too.
There's more at home. There's a lot at home. He's everywhere. So imagine me being someone who's never seen these movies living in this house. But I watching the first one, I'm like, wow, I kind of wish she was in more of it, because like she's really cool. But knowing that the actress isn't super into it, I get that. Plus Pamela meets her end at the end of the film.
Oh yeah.
Because you have to defeat the bad guy at the end.
Yeah.
But, you know, one way or another.
And I know they were trying to get her to come back for the second one, which I don't know how they would do that because she's
burdened.
Head clean off.
In all fairness.
Clean off.
Jason.
Yeah, and then we wouldn't have Jason.
We could have done anything.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's fine.
But
Jason X. Let's just
they
wait until that.
I want to talk about the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because the end of the movie is another thing that they took from a different movie.
Yes.
But also with their own spin.
Yes.
So the very end of the movie, Alice has defeated Pamela Voorhees, chopped her head clean off.
She like paddled into a boat in the middle of the lake.
Crawled into this canoe and just went floating into the lake. Is just trying to have a breath. And it's very like soft and sparkles on the lake. And she's having a breath and there's very serene music. And the police pull up and you're like, oh.
And this goes on for a very long time.
Yeah, it's like a long time. Like way longer than you think. And then, right when you think she's safe, she starts to sit up in the boat like, oh, the police are here. And then, tiny Jason pops out of the water and grabs her and pulls her in. And then she wakes up in the hospital.
Tiny Jason.
If you don't think that sounds like Carrie, you haven't seen Carrie. You should go watch Carrie. But watching the special features, they did that on purpose. It is like Carrie, but because they knew people would be expecting it, because they had seen Carrie, they made it go on a really long time so you would give up. And
so even the Carrie fans would be like, oh, the credits are gonna roll soon.
Yeah, this is the end. Like, it's fine. Yeah, and then it's just like, and yeah, it's pretty scary. And it's also cool that how they sort of evolved Jason. We'll talk about that more on other episodes, because what this is gonna be is we want to do an episode on each film. Not this entire show. There's no other stuff. No. But so look forward to more of these on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, every Friday the 13th we'll have a special where we talk about Jason. We'll talk about different things. We'll probably do the movies in order, obviously. But we'll like throw in like the video game when we get around to playing that, and like a comic book.
Comics and so there's gonna be more Jason. Don't worry, he's not going anywhere. I think I might have mentioned it already, but I had only seen Freddy vs. Jason and the 2009 reboot before watching the original a year ago. So that was an interesting experience, because it's like the 2009 is really fun. I really like it. I think other people were lukewarm about it. But I like it. And it was also cool because I didn't know a whole lot, but you don't really have to. I mean, you just have to kind of know Jason's the bad guy. Yeah. But that was fun. I grew up, and when I say grew up, I was just like more aware of Nightmare on Elm Street stuff as a kid. I actually grew up on Elm Street, so it was easy for people to scare me with Freddy Krueger.
And mine was Child's Play, specifically the first one, because my cousins scared me with it when I was a kid.
I mean, I had that too.
Yeah.
But, so, like, I was very scared of Freddy as a kid because I saw a clip from it at a friend's house. And then, so Freddy vs. Jason was something I watched out of boredom one day in high school, being more aware of Freddy Krueger than Jason. I obviously knew who Jason was, but, like, I didn't know sort of more of the backstory because I didn't even know about Pamela Voorhees until I saw Scream. So
Name the killer in Friday the 13th.
Jason! Jason!
I'm sorry. That's the wrong answer.
which is sort of one of those, like, fun fact, because people,
Yeah.
I think, forget about Pamela, because
Yeah.
she's only in, I mean, well, not, I think she's in the other ones, but people talk about Jason more.
Yeah.
The general population just knows more about Jason than they...
Yeah. Well, he's more iconic. Yeah, it's the mask and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And like the slow walk.
Which doesn't appear till the
third movie, I believe.
Yeah.
So
I'm like,
none of this is from this movie. Sorry.
yeah. No, but he wanted to hang out.
No.
So look at him. Look at this one.
He's so happy.
So, one of the things that I really like about the first one also is that the killer is a woman,
Mhm.
which we had a brief conversation about how that's not common in the slasher franchises.
No.
They're almost all men, and with exceptions of things like Scream, which has a different killer every movie, so a couple of them have been women.
And then Urban Legend.
Urban Legend is the only one that's like that. Though I think I've only seen the first one of that. But then, I mean, I guess both of those would originate with a woman then.
Yeah.
And then other ones were added in later in the franchise. Like I said, I mentioned Scream, and then if you wanted to say Tiffany and Bride of Chucky, who I adore also.
She's the delight.
She's so wonderful. I guess I just love, like, lady slash. I mean, I just, ladies are great. So more ladies in everything.
Yeah.
And I guess there's something to be said of, like, this big menacing figure.
Yeah.
That's definitely, Michael Myers and Jason both have that sort of Leatherface.
Leatherface is really scary.
Freddy's less, like,
He's so
bulky and menacing. He's just, like, wiry and squirrely and
if he was
yelling
a
obscenities.
real guy, I could take him.
Yeah. Minus the claws and the magic powers.
True. Yeah.
I can take him.
Sorry, Robert.
Yeah.
If you
Sorry,
watch
Robert
this.
Englund. Yeah, but I mean, Freddy. Well, that was something that, at least as a villain, I liked about Freddy Krueger versus Jason when I was younger was that he has like more like personality.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where he's just like I said, yelling obscenities. Whereas, Jason's this, like, hulking figure.
Yeah.
But he's also, like, weirdly sort of sympathetic.
Yeah. Well, and then, which we will talk about on later episodes, later movies, there are characters, like his victims, that you start to, like, feel for and, like, all of that. The ones that are being chased.
Yeah.
Or in some of the other facts, there's some other people that you might feel for, but I'm not going to spoil those yet. So
stay tuned.
Watch more.
But yeah, so there aren't a lot of like women slashers, which is kind of a shame. But I think that's why I kind of have stars in my eyes for Pamela Voorhees, because she's so unexpected.
And we should also say that we haven't watched every horror movie or read every horror book or anything like that.
I mean, you got recommendations.
Yeah.
Here.
If you know of any, leave a comment. We'll check it out. We plan on just like, other than our usual shows and stuff, just binging. So give us recommendations. If you have a favorite slasher lady, let us know and we'll check her out.
We love horror, and we have watched a lot of horror movies and read a lot of horror comics and such and so on, but there's a lot of stuff, so we're open to suggestions. This is what we do. Yes. One of the major things we want to do with this show is give you recommendations on things you might like if you like this thing. So, we've reached that point. There is a series that Alison also loves.
I love it.
I don't know which came first in her love, Friday the 13th or Hackslash. It might have been Friday the 13th.
It was Friday the 13th.
Which led her to
Hackslash. So Hack Slash is currently an Image book. It's been there for years now.
It used to be Devil's Due Publishing,
Yeah.
but now it is Image.
Yeah, and most of it is written by Tim Seeley. Various artists coming in and out. Sometimes he does the art. He knows I'm a giant fangirl. It's fine.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah. But it's about a girl named Cassie. She's in high school, and she is always picked on, and she's like the outcast and all that. But her mom works at in the cafeteria at the school as the lunch lady.
Dun, dun, dun.
Her mom is actually killing kids that pick on Cassie and putting them in the food, and eventually gets stopped, is murdered, and she comes back as a slasher, very much like Jason. And her slasher name is the Lunch Lady, which definitely reading that and watching this, I'm like, oh, Pamela Voorhees was the lunch lady at the camp. Duh.
Yeah, it's
Makes
very
sense.
heavily inspired by Friday the 13th and also other slasher franchises. I've only ever read the origin story, which is called My First Maniac, which explains that whole story.
And that came out way later than than the original series started. But Cassie, after that, because of all the trauma and stuff, she decides that she's going to go around the country killing slashers. And so there's like, you see Evil Ernie, who, if you've read 90s comic books, you know who he is. And then she actually teams up with Chucky from Child's Play, which is ridiculous, and I love it. You don't ever really see Freddy Krueger or Jason or Michael. Like, they might make it into the background of stuff. Like, I think there's one thing where like she has like it's a cover and she's like sleeping with a doll and stuff like that. But it's really fun. It's campy. It has really cool slashers in it, like really creative slashers. And I highly recommend it. And it's been going on for a really long time. And as of this recording, it's coming back.
Yeah. Well, what's the name of the next series?
The new series is called Hack Slash Resurrection.
There you go.
And I would definitely finish the first 5 omnibuses of Hack Slash. You'll also see Hack Slash versus Army of Darkness versus Hack Slash.
One of those.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It will spoil the end of Hack Slash for you. So if you want to read Hack Slash, definitely finish that and then move on to the other mini series.
Is My First Maniac included in the omnibus?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay.
I am rebuying them that way. I just haven't finished buying them that way yet. Cool. I have like 2 more to go. Yeah, 2 more to go.
So yeah, we heavily recommend that one as far as comics.
It's like the number one, other than the Friday the 13th comics, because those exist, which aren't in print.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Sorry about that. I mean, maybe they're on Comixology.
Yeah.
You're welcome to look at that. The other series, as far as comics that I would recommend, would be Nailbiter, I think. Yes. So Nailbiter is about a town where there just, for some reason, lots of serial killers come from there. And a detective goes there because his partner had gone there and goes missing. And so he goes to find him. And then it just like takes off from there. I recommend it because it definitely has a little bit of a slasher flair, even though it's like serial killers. It's like a little bit less like Hannibal and a little bit more slasher because they have sort of campier like reasons, I guess.
And they have like nicknames and stuff too. And there might be supernatural stuff. It's a big mystery that we're all trying to figure out.
And that series recently ended, so
there's 6 paperbacks of it out right now.
So it's a good one to jump into.
And the art is phenomenal.
We wanted to try to also do, like video games or whatever recommendations, but I kind of feel like if you like Friday the 13th, you might already be aware of some of it. It has its own game that came out recently, which I forgot the name of, but it's, the one where you play as the kids or as Jason and you gotta survive or, kill the kids, whichever one you're playing as.
I am so excited to play it. I already know which console we're gonna buy it on because I've had someone that's like, you have to buy it on this one because they want to play with us.
Oh,
yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Well, there's also
super excited.
Again, you may already be aware of it if you are a fan of the franchise, but Dead by Daylight came out recently, and I haven't played it yet. I don't usually play a lot of games, but this one looks really fun because you're either, again, being the slasher or surviving the slasher. And they have some license. They have Michael Myers and Leatherface as of this recordings. I know that they've hinted at some other stuff. That one looks really fun, though, if I'm being honest, the graphics look questionable at times. And I have bad eyesight, so we'll see about that one.
We'll start with the Friday the 13th one and then go to the other
move
one.
on. There is another game very similar to those that I don't know the name of that we saw a Kickstarter for years ago, and I don't know whatever became of that. So if anyone knows if that's still a thing or what happened with that, let me know.
It's very much like a slasher chasing kids.
Yeah, you got to like do cool slashery things, teleporting around and waiting for them. Be like, they think they're safe now. If you would like, you can find us online on Tumblr at TwiceBittenHorror, on Twitter at twice_bitten_. Someone beat us to some stuff.
I'm sorry. I tried.
And Instagram at TwiceBittenHorror.
Yeah, look for spooky pictures. I'm also going to be posting like Instagram questions and stuff and like polls. So make sure to follow along there, and I'll also post like when we have new videos, and you can turn on notifications on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter if you'd like.
Bell icon.
Yeah.
Support us. Speaking of supporting us, we have a Patreon. So if you would like to support us, we would really like that. And it helps us keep the lights on and make it so we can do cool shows like this. And if you do support us, you could have your name on the screen right here with these lovely people who support us. Who we love.
We love them. Our Patreon is through our podcast. It's called Out of the Fridge. You can find us there. Out of the Fridge is on all social medias and Facebook. So please like us, follow us, keep in touch. And that one is a comic book podcast where we talk for hours about comic books.
Yeah, and if you're here for horror, we have done several horror comics in October especially. Our original episode aired in October, so we do huge specials for that. Yeah. And I think that's everything for this episode. So we will see you next time.
Thank you guys.
Stay spooky.
Bye.